You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino Martial Arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. This week I get on Zoom and I connect to Miami, Florida, and I talk with Gil Morales, who I like to call one of the real Miami Vice. We talk about how he got involved in martial arts and how all of this has applied to his career as a policeman in the robbery department. And we talk about some pretty amazing and somewhat famous cases of robberies that happened in Miami, things that have turned into television shows and potentially movies. So sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and today I am connecting to Miami, Florida, which is a city I've got a very, I would say, special and nostalgic connection to because I went to, I'm a graduate of the University of Miami, so I very much enjoyed my time in the, he's making the ear for me, all right. So I very much enjoyed my time in the city and the amazing culture that it had there, and of course now I've got many friends through our Santo circles, and this gentleman is exactly that. He's someone I've met through there, and I love to call this guy the real Miami Vice because he's law enforcement from that area, and that was one of my favorite shows as a kid. Enough to the point that, Gil, I'm going to have to show you this movie I made in high school that was a combination of Miami Vice versus and the Blues Brothers. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm going to show that to you. You're going to get a good laugh. Okay. Mainly because I'm 17 and I have a mullet, in it, so it's pretty funny. But anyway, there's a lot of really cool stuff with this guest, and so let's get to talk to him a little bit. Gil Morales, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on with me, and it was great to see you recently at the instructor camp, and I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and seeing you really sparked that interest again.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I really enjoy going out there. The weather's great, and I want to thank you guys, man. You guys make everything so easy out there. You guys put in a lot of hard work when you go to these instructor camps. And I'm sure a lot of people don't realize the work that it takes behind the scenes to put all this together, Yeah. So I thank you guys for that.
Yeah, I said, well, your first clue is you don't see Joel as much, and it's not because he's not wanting to be there. It's because he's doing a lot of stuff upstairs and out of the house and what have you. So it's like, we operate with kind of a smaller staff on them than we have in the past. Cookie's always been in the past fortunate enough to bring usually like 5-6 people with her, and those people all get put to work. And after COVID, it's really only been about half that. So. But we still manage, we put it all out that you don't, well, you'll see me more because I'm out there running camera and what have you, but those guys, you don't see as much because they're doing about twice the work that they would before. But it always works out really well. The camps always turn out pretty nice, and it's always great to see everybody.
Oh yeah. All
right. Well, tell us, Gil, how did you get involved in martial arts?
Okay. Let's go back.
Why get back?
I was born and raised in Miami, so I'm a native. My parents my mother came from Cuba in 1961. We settled here in an area called the North Side District. Um, I started in martial arts because Sifu mentioned something about that Ed Parker. My
Yeah.
first karate instructor was Manny Reyes Sr. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was
Yes.
one of Ed Parker's, and man, I was discussing with somebody the other day. Martial arts itself has changed because to have a martial arts school nowadays, you have to be very careful. You got to be nice. Back then, my teacher was rough. He did not play good martial. He was a karate instructor. He yelled at you if you screwed up, and the parents just sat there tight lipped. He was a karate teacher, and that was it. But that's where I started. I started in Temple Karate with Manny Reyes Sr. In Hialeah, which you know.
Oh
He
yeah,
used to have a
absolutely.
he used to have a school there on the second floor on East 25th Street. And
Wow.
I used to enjoy that because Thursdays was always fight night, like sparring night. And we put those back then you had the foam helmets and the
Yeah,
little
was
foam
it junior,
pads that
the
was
safety stuff? Yeah.
yeah, which really didn't protect a whole lot. So if
It's
you got
just it was
smacked, you
like
got smacked hard.
carton with a little bit of plastic stuff sprayed on
Yeah.
top of it.
And that's why I got started in the martial arts. And my grandfather, when I was a kid, he set up a military duffel bag in the front yard and filled it with sand and hung it on a chain. So
Yes.
every day we get home from school, and it didn't matter if it rained, whatever. But if when it rained, that bag, the sand in it got like concrete. And
Yeah.
every day we'd come and we'd box on that thing and we hit it. So we learned, I learned how to fight, and I liked it for some reason. I liked it. I liked the sport. I used to love to watch. I don't know if you remember because we're about the same age. No, I don't know about that, but we're
I just
almost
turned
there.
56.
And yeah, well, I'm 62 now, but
We're
I don't know if
close.
you
Yeah.
remember. My grandfather used to watch boxing fights from Mexico on Saturday or Sunday nights, and they were fights that were televised from Mexico. And these guys would fight for peanuts, but these guys just left it all in the rain. They would just beat each other to a pulp. And
Yeah.
I'm sure back then they didn't get paid a whole lot of money, and with like managers probably screwing them over or what have
Yeah.
you. And I joined the Marine Corps right after high school because I didn't go to college. I wasn't a very good student. I say that because I used to skip a lot of times on Friday and go to South Beach, which I'm sure you know very well.
Of
Which
course.
there
Yeah.
wasn't there. Remember, there wasn't all those hotels down there like there is now. It
Right.
used to be a parking garage, just a parking area for people to go to the beach. So I used to go to the beach with my friends who used to see me at school and say, "Hey, Gil, hey, you want to go to school? You want to go to the beach?" And I look up at the sky and I'm like, "Damn, you know what? It is a nice day." I said, "Let's ride. Let's go to the beach." And we go to the beach, you know. Um, so like I said, I joined the Marines right after high school. I got out, and how I got introduced to Jeet Kune Do is crazy because I was a police officer. I started the police academy in 1986 here in Miami. It was called the Metro-Dade Police Department at the time. Then it changed
Right.
to Miami-Dade. Now it's Miami Sheriff's Office. But I
Oh,
started in 1986, where we still carried revolvers at the time.
mhm.
So I got introduced to Jeet Kune Do. I can't even remember the year. I have to go over here to the next room and look at the certificates and all that. I was a robbery detective. For the last 20 years of my career, I was a robbery detective. So I'm handling a robbery one day in the shopping center at 125th Avenue in Kendall. Uh, and there used to be a place called Josie's Uniform Place. It was a uniform place where they sold nurses' uniforms and
Oh, okay.
scrubs and stuff like that. And that place got robbed by what we call here salt and pepper team, a white guy and a black guy, you
Okay.
know? So I'm doing an area canvas, right? And I walk into the school and I see this gentleman there with long dreads. And I go, "Oh, wow, this is a martial arts school. And I said, what kind of martial arts school is this? And he said, it's Jeet Kune Do. I go, you're kidding. It was Dwight Woods. That was his school.
I was thinking that's who that description sounds like.
Yep. It was Dwight Woods' school. So I believe he was dating Maribel at the time, Maribel Andrickson. I don't know if you remember her.
No, I don't think I ever met her.
Okay. Well, she was there, and I asked, the usual, did you guys see anything unusual, whatever? He said, no, no. But Maribel says to me, hands me a business like placard. She goes, here, take this with you in case you ever want to train. So I took it home with me and I started doing a little research. And I go, you know what? I'm going to start back in the martial arts. And that's where I started again.
Wow, that's great.
Where I started. Oh, can you believe that? Off a fluke of a robbery in the same shopping center. And I happened to wander in doing an area canvas like most policemen do. You see, boom, and I meet Dwight Woods, and the rest is history. I'm still here since then. I've never stopped a day of training. I've been out to instructor camp since I've been an instructor under Guru for the last 9 years straight. I've not missed a year.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So did you find, I mean, obviously, I think law enforcement, martial art is a thing that is something that I would consider like an attribute, right? A good thing for a law enforcement officer. Did you find like the stuff kind of involved with what you're training with Dwight, which, our stuff is obviously there's a blend. We're using JKD, which is, the John Fond material. We're also, drawing from the FMA that Guru Dan teaches and the CLOT, so when we're in instructor camp, we're learning these three things. Did you find that like something that you went, okay, this fits in with what my needs are as far as like professionally? And then we can talk about needs beyond that, but did it
absolutely
fit that?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. My opinion, I think that Filipino martial arts should be mandatory taught to every police department.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you handle the expandable baton or the PR-24, or you go to locking techniques, which, or sweeping feet like C-lot and so forth, to me personally, it should be mandatory. But unfortunately, I don't mean unfortunately, because I mean, I love BJJ and I enjoy rolling on the mat with some guys. I tried to years ago bring in a little bit of the Filipino martial arts into our department, but at the time, you know how everything goes, politics, this buddy's that guy's buddy and all that. So all they wanted to do was train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I said, guys, I love it. I love BJJ. Don't get me wrong, but don't get stuck on one martial art. It's the same thing Guru says every time we go to the instructor camp. Don't get stuck on one martial art. Be a well-rounded martial artist, because maybe you meet a subject on the street, you might not be able to take him down. You might not want to be able to take him down in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because you don't know if his buddy's standing behind and he's going to kick you in the head and kick you to sleep. They take your gun, and now you got problems.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I'm telling you, I did a video the other day and I put it on my page, on my story, where I did it when I was still a cop. I had a friend of mine at work that said, oh man, I don't need to train. I got a gun. I go, listen, man, let me explain something to you. The fact that you have a gun doesn't mean anything. Okay. Because if you're, as a police officer, if you're pulling out your gun just to every single time, how are you going to arrest a guy? Now you only got one hand. Put your gun away. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't have that. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't feel comfortable with taking somebody down or getting physical with somebody.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So they pull their gun right away. Put your gun away. Unless the guy's shooting it. Don't get me wrong. I've been in 2 shootings, so it's not fun to be shot at. So, but a lot of these police officers don't feel comfortable with being hands-on. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I call it how I see it. A lot of these young cops have come from being in school with mommy and daddy and so forth, and then they come out to the real world, and you have somebody that tells you, hey, screw you, you're not gonna take me to jail. What are you gonna do? Now they're not used to that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Same thing with a lot of cops that come out and they're 21 years old. They've never been married. They don't have kids, and they go to a domestic, and they're gonna explain to somebody like you or me who've had
Right.
tickets to divorces before how we're supposed to act. Right?
Right.
It doesn't work that way, dude. You got, you know. But that happened a couple. I forget the year, but in the police department, at least down here, they wanted to start hiring folks that were a little bit more complacent and this and that. When I went through the police academy, almost half my police academy was ex-military people,
Hmm.
ex-military. But yeah, I think that martial arts is very applicable to police work. And like I said, I think every police department and a lot of police departments in this country do train Filipino martial arts. But I
Right.
think it should be mandatory Filipino martial art.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a lot of, I mean, like you said, very, very direct training to some of the equipment you might be carrying, like a baton of some sort. Obviously, there's blade awareness, which is probably something that's incredibly important for your situation. Weapon retention, which is obviously something obviously very important
Absolutely.
to that. And then, the training methodology has a lot to do with flow. So that idea of sort of understanding how to correct for mistakes, meaning
Correct.
maybe someone's getting the drop or the line on you or whatever in a hand to hand. You learn how to adapt to that through the type of drilling we do. So yeah, it makes sense, And it's like I remember Eric Paulson doing something once where he was like having law enforcement guys use hubad into cuffing. Like so, they'd start there and see, okay, can you get a guy cuffed using this drill? And so I'm like, well, that's brilliant. I mean, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I got to look that video up. That guy, Eric Paulson. That guy's a beast. That guy's that guy's a beast. I watch his videos. That guy, I don't know. He's awesome, man. I don't know him personally. I've met him a couple times at the academy, very high, but that guy's a beast. But
Wow.
I did a video the other day where I put it on my page, on my story or whatever, and I did it to this other friend of mine who's a police officer. And I actually comment on the video that I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and I myself was a police officer, but a distance from here to 2, 3, 5 feet, if the guy has a knife and you don't see it, and I told my student, pretend like you're pulling a gun. And he goes to pull his gun. Immediately, as soon as he did that, I pulled out my knife. I went, boom, put it right here in his throat. You're
Yeah.
done. Like Guru has said, you have to learn how to, you know, stop that barrage at the knife attack that's coming and be able to then maybe gain some distance to be able to draw your weapon or run or run,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And there's zoning. I mean, it's hard. I can't comment too much on police procedures, like where they have you guys at stand and stuff, because I've never really been informed
Right.
or even asked to comment on it. But I think just in general, when I've had to deal with people like I've dealt with, not like we've had any major problems at the academy, but sometimes you get some homeless or some strangers or some people that are a little
Right.
up, and my thing with dealing with them generally is I try not to heighten the tension, so I don't act aggressive, so they don't wind up,
Right.
but I do get myself more angled to them away from the strong side hand. Or if I'm on that right side, I usually very gently have my hand out touching their elbow. So I'm being very
Right.
friendly. So they're usually not too worried about the fact that my hand, I'm not
Right.
grabbing, but I have control of the elbow should they do something with that hand. Because I figure, well, that's the hand most people are going to come from. But if I can get more at an angle to that left side, so it still looks like I'm sort of in front of them, but they have a long way to go with that strong hand.
Right.
So I
Right.
do a lot of stuff like that, just
Right.
personally dealing. But fortunately, I don't. It's not like I'm dealing with knucklehead.
Usually on with the police, I would always try to stand like you said. If my gun is on my right side, which I'm right-handed, I would
Mm-hmm.
typically stand a little bit further away, give my left side forward
Mm-hmm.
to make it a harder target for them to come reach for my
Right.
gun. And I put my forearm on top of it just to be here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just in case. But even having it here, is also good because from here you can shoot right out if you need to
Right.
punch somebody in the face, and it's really quick. But yeah,
Exactly.
some of this new police procedures have, I don't know, it's changed. I'll tell you a real funny story real quick. When I was a cop, I'm sure that you've had law enforcement trained there at the academy years ago. We had a thing, I don't know if they brought it back, called the red man suit. You had two people.
Oh, yeah, I've heard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and one guy was dressed all up in the red man
yeah.
suit,
You're like a big red marshmallow dude. Yeah.
and you just got into an ass kicking, swinging fight just to get him handcuffed. And I used to love that. I didn't give a shit if I got my ass kicked. I don't give, but we're trying to handcuff the guy. We have a good time,
Yeah, yeah.
get a little aggression, get a little cardio going. But somebody got hurt, somebody complained, so they stopped that red man for a while.
Oh
You
man.
know, guys, this is real street stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
that's too
we don't
bad.
have time for that.
Well, the worst part about this, it's kind of like, I would say it's like the U.S. has the worst legal system in the world, but the best compared to everybody else. You know what I mean? So it's like that. It's like one of those things, and it's not so much like the structure of these things is fine. It's just that we're always having to plug people in to make judgments who don't know and don't have knowledge and may not even be educated in it. So it's a game of presentation, right? A game
Yeah.
of who tells the better story. That's being in a trial by jury. That's also being in a situation like what you're saying, where you've got, okay, somebody got hurt, so they're saying this thing to whoever is controlling the money and controlling the who decides what the training procedure is. And if that person doesn't have any real knowledge, they're just an administrator. Well, you're trying to convince them, and so
Right.
like who's got the better presentation? And so unfortunately,
Sure.
people are making decisions based on, okay, this person got hurt. Well, yeah, that's bad, but the benefits probably outweigh it. And it's like, well, could we maybe adjust, what happened in this situation? And then is there a
Yeah.
possibility to make an adjustment that makes that less likely to happen, but doesn't get rid of this training, which is, extremely helpful. I think all of us know that any kind of live scenario training in martial art is just beneficial, especially if you're a person who's looking to need to apply it at some point. And I think the big important thing that Guru tells us is it's about play. So you mentioned that it was fun, and I'm like, yes, exactly. That's the way you have to approach it as play.
Yeah.
Don't take it, it doesn't need to be taken seriously. You don't need to win the thing. You need to get knowledge. You need to get
Right.
experience. And, when you watch animals in the animal kingdom, the parent animals play fight with the kid animals. That's how they learn how to fight. And
That's how they
it's not
learn.
like the daddy lion like beats up the kid lion. I mean, they know that's ridiculous to do, right? So, but they play, and then the animals play amongst each other too. So it's like you start finding that when you go back and you listen to these people that were coming out of like World War II and and have that experience of real combat, and they say, yeah, you play because you can stress inoculate other ways as well, but you don't want to injure each other, but at the same time you don't want to not ever get a bruise
Yeah.
or or a contusion of some sort. I mean, it's like you got to
Part
know.
of the game. Part
Yeah,
of the game.
exactly.
They also interviewed. I've read before where they've interviewed subjects that were in prison, and they've they've actually said that sometimes they would try a police officer if they saw that that officer was overweight, their uniform was all screwed up, they didn't
Yeah,
take care of themselves,
right.
as opposed to the guy who looks like he goes to the gym, he might train martial arts. You know what I'm saying? They'd say,
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to mess with that guy today. You know what I'm saying? Because
So
he
it sounds
looks
like
like
they're
he can take
selecting
care of himself.
their victim the same way they would out on a normal person. Because
Exactly.
like I'm a big whatever looking guy. I'm not necessarily a target, but the person who looks a little frumpy and their heads down, yeah, they're a better target. So why not? The guys in uniform, I would assume, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so yeah, man, that's where I started my martial arts career, and then I've been at it ever since. But in
Yeah, I like
2007,
that. I like that. I love that part. I've been at it ever since. See, that's a good.
I've been
That's a
at it
good
ever
part
since.
right
Listen, I'll be training martial arts. You know, as I'm sure you know.
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/MALMAG and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Gil Morales. Coming up next week, I sit down here in Los Angeles and I talk with Sabrina Bershad again. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabiker Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available. We also have sarongs, malongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the events calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.